Get ready. It's time for the Idaho Podcast with your host, Danny Ventura. Welcome to the Idaho Podcast, where we feature the people who live, work, and play in Idaho. I'm your host, Danny Ventura. We're so happy to have you here today. I have Kim Ross as my guest, and Kim is the Senior Manager of Girl Entrepreneurship for the Girl Scouts of Silver Sage. Kim leads the Girl Scout cookie program for thousands of Girl Scouts throughout Southern Idaho and 2 other states. And she's also a 2024 Woman of the Year awarded through Idaho Business Review. Kim, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Danny. It's great to be here.
Of course. So we always start with your Idaho story. What is your Idaho story?
Well, I was an early person in the internet space. I was an early adopter, and part of my master's degree was in information systems. And the Simplot company needed someone to help start up many of their internet activities. And so I came here from Colorado, and I had only lived in Colorado for less than a year. I moved there from Fort Lauderdale. So I was a Girl Scout in the Fort Lauderdale area. So I moved here in December of 98. So I've been here longer than many people.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
and what keeps you here? So you've been here 27 years roughly. What keeps you here? Obviously you enjoy it because you're here a while.
Well, so my husband has been ill for quite some time, and he had a team of doctors. And so what kept us here for a good while was that he trusted and, wanted to stay with these doctors. And now as they've started retiring, that was a time when, okay, well, we're not really tied to anything. What do we want to do? And we decided to stay here. And then I dad-nabbed my dad and brought him here from South Florida. And so now our whole family's here, and we just love it, and we don't want to leave.
That's terrific. Yeah, we love Idaho. Like I always say, I only wished I moved sooner. So, but it's fantastic. Same. Yeah. So I know you were also a Girl Scout as a young girl, and you were even one of the top salespeople for cookie sellers, I should say. Each year the cookie sales came around. When did you get involved professionally with Girl Scouts, and then what led you to or inspired you into a career with the Girl Scouts?
So in 2018, it was January, February-ish, and I decided to just look around on Indeed, just kind of see what was there, and there was a position for the Girl Scouts. And I couldn't believe it. I had been a Girl Scout as a girl, but I didn't know there were job opportunities at Girl Scouts. I thought they were all volunteers. So I applied as quickly as I could, and within a week I was working there.
Wow.
So it was great. It was quick.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And tell us a little bit about your role there, because you're Senior Manager of Girl Entrepreneurship. So what does that mean?
So entrepreneurship is one of the 4 pillars of Girl Scouts. And so that means we are teaching girls how to sell things, but also sell themselves, sell their ideas, sell anything that they need to give them confidence to go up to a CEO and ask for what they want, to anything that they need in the business world. Behave ethically and set your goals and respond appropriately or within a timely manner. So all sorts of aspects of the entrepreneurship program, and that includes the Girl Scout cookie program.
Okay. And so do you drive that program? Is that through curriculum? Is that how is it done? How do you do it?
Well, so for the girls, yes, there is curriculum. Okay. There are also nationwide pins and badges that they can earn.
Okay.
And so girls love the badges and the patches and all that stuff.
Sure.
It's my favorite too. So that's the girl curriculum. And then for volunteers, we train volunteers and we train staff. And so there's a huge training component. There are also components related to supply chain management. So we have about 45 locations where we have cookies delivered on the 21st-ish. So planning 9 varieties at each of these 40 some odd locations, making sure everybody has what they need, when they need, and get girls enough cookies for their cookie booths. So there's a lot of logistics involved, lots of, again, training the volunteers. So we have Zoom recordings so they can see what we're getting ready to do. So we want to make sure they're trained soon enough, but also not too soon, because then they tend to either forget or, wait, which button was that? So we tried to do just-in-time training is what we call it.
Sure. Well, that's good. Well, the Girl Scout Cookie Program is the largest girl-led entrepreneurial program in the world, and which is very impressive when you think about just the size and the volume. I personally love Girl Scout cookies, and my favorite is right there. The Thin Mints are my absolute favorite, and although I have many favorites. And I look forward to this time of the year annually. What right now are the top selling cookies in the last couple of years?
So it's interesting. Girl Scouts of the USA is comprised of over 100 Girl Scout councils, and we are one of those. And it's interesting because all of the Girl Scout councils have a slightly different mix of which cookies are their top seller or by how much. So our two top sellers, as you might imagine, are the Thin Mints, and then we have the Caramel Delights. Those are our two highest sellers by far. And then number 3 is the Peanut Butter Patties. So they're chocolate and peanut butter. They're quite good.
Got it. And those used to have different names, right? And I know we probably don't want to talk about what the names were, but was there a reason that we had to change the names?
There is. And again, this differs by council all over the country. There are 2 bakers that are licensed to bake Girl Scout cookies. And it turns out that one baker, which was our baker 2 years ago and before, they own the copyright to Samoas, to peanut butter tagalongs, and do-si-dos. So because we changed bakers, that baker isn't allowed to use those names.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's the reason. Because sometimes it gets confusing because do-si-dos and tagalongs are some of my favorites. And so, of course, Samoas. Like I said, I love them all. I really haven't met a cookie I don't like. So especially the Girl Scout cookies. Well, that's interesting. Thanks for sharing that. One of the major objective, really, of the cookie campaign is that the Girl Scouts learn 5 intrinsic skills through the participation of the sales that will benefit them throughout their lifetime. Those 5 skills are goal setting, decision making, money management, people skills, and business ethics, which I think are fantastic. Share a little bit more about that and why it's so important that these 5 foundational skills are developed.
I don't know if we have enough time today in our podcast to talk about all of the reasons why they're important. But some of the things are, for example, business ethics. That's important. You want to be able to do business with someone that you can trust. You want to work with someone you can trust. The goal setting, you want someone who can break down tasks and accomplish them, maybe delegate some of those tasks, be able to run a project and not miss components. People skills, that's enormous. When I started the Girl Scout cookie program, I was one of those girls I was a brownie, so I was about 8, and I would, kind of hide behind the parent and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if I was just 2 or 3 sales into the program, and I was starting to just march right up to the door and knock on the door and, get that next sale or ask the next person who walked by my booth. So it gave me the confidence to do things like public speaking and train volunteers and make sure that I felt confident in my answer. And if I'm not confident in my answer, I feel confident to say, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. And then I do. And so that's something part of the business ethics too. If you make a promise, you make good on it. And that's also part of the Girl Scout promise in law. So those are really important things in business, but also in your personal relationships and in life. And I think all of those things helped me get where I am today.
Well, I'm a staunch believer in those principles those foundational skills that you try to teach. And I, especially that as it incorporates entrepreneurship as a whole and being what I call a serial entrepreneur myself, I do value that, and I respect the fact that part of the mission is training the girls up in those key aspects. I was mentioning to you earlier that when I see the Girl Scouts selling cookies, every single time I will buy at least 1 package of cookies. And it's not just for the sake of the cookies. And granted, I love the cookies, and I've said that a few times. But it really, to me, is about supporting them and helping them with their confidence and supporting their efforts of entrepreneurship. Because it's not easy standing out there in front of a market or wherever they may be. It's not easy because a lot of people say no before people say yes. And to me, it's just I do the same thing with lemonade stands, frankly, because it's about entrepreneurship, and kids do learn things. I mean, I remember my lemonade stands, and I'm sure you do too. And to me, you remember those things, and it's not always easy. So I will, if I pass one, I will stop, turn around, and go back and just buy the lemonade, again, to support, because entrepreneurship is so important in our society. Whether you own your own business necessarily, or just to know the skills of entrepreneurship, I think it benefits you throughout life. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I grew up in South Florida, and I remember my parents too. If a little kid had, seashells at a table that were selling them, we would always, buy a couple of seashells. Or my favorite story is my dad. We were in Colorado on vacation, and we stopped by a little girl selling hot chocolate and coffee. And my dad took a sip of the coffee and just, kind of choked on it and wasn't happy. And it was because there were coffee grounds in it. She was just doing, I think she was trying to do Folgers, but with regular coffee beans. And so, but that doesn't stop us. We still, stop at every Girl Scout booth. And I promised myself when I was younger, I'm going to say yes to everyone who asks.
Yep.
So this is going to be, not an invitation, everyone, but in general, every time I go by a booth, if they ask me, I buy it.
Nice. I do the same. And no extra charge for the coffee grounds.
No, those were gratis.
Added benefit, yeah. That's a great story. So it's impressive that all the cookie profits stay local. I didn't know that until I spoke to you before we recorded today. 100% of the proceeds stay with the local council and the troops, and I think that is fantastic. To hear that it stays local and the girls directly benefit from it, I think that is so important. But funds are used for community service projects, troop travel, and other adventures that the girls go on. The girls directly benefit. So explain more about the direct benefits to the girls and to the program.
So aside from the skills, of course, that we know are critical for girl success, we also have rewards that girls earn. We talked about some of the badges. They also have some patches, which are different, and we can discuss that another time if you want. But girls also earn something called program credits. And with these program credits, they can purchase merchandise at our store. They can go to summer camp, which our registration is starting very soon. They can do all kinds of different trips, depending on their age level, because we work with something called progression. And so we want them to progress. Maybe it's a slumber party and then a backyard camping trip. And then, so we want to make sure that they're prepared at each level. For the last several years, we've been taking girls to Disney World and Disneyland with these program credits. So girls can save up their credits in our council for 3 full summers. So if they have $3,000 worth of program credits, they can save them up and do great things. Girl Scouts of the USA, so not our council specifically, but the whole movement, offers something called destinations. And so girls can choose a destination like the Galapagos Islands, Paris, Morocco. They can do wonderful, wonderful things, and they can use the program credits to get there.
Wow, that's fantastic. Both of my daughters were involved in Girl Scouts, and they really enjoyed it in that part of their life. I don't remember, though, because it's been a few years. What is the youngest age that you can join the Girl Scouts?
Well, when I was in Girl Scouts, the youngest you could be was about 8. So 2nd grade was when you could start to be a Brownie Girl Scout. Since then, they have piloted a new type of Girl Scout, and she's called a Daisy Girl Scout. And so they start at kindergarten. So kindergarten and 1st grade, you'd be a Daisy. And they kill it in the cookie program. I think part of it is because they are so cute. People can't stop. And if you get those puppy dog eyes, are you sure you don't want another one?
So true.
That I used that quite a bit as a brownie myself. But they have such zest, and they're unfiltered, and they're wonderful.
Right. That's good. And speaking of joining the Girl Scouts, so you're actually enrollment is now, right?
Well, yes. So you can join Girl Scouts anytime. Troops are forming now. And if you'd like to plan as you are, maybe for folks who have preschoolers now, as they get to register for kindergarten, that's when they also register for the Girl Scout program. So they'll see us at school probably, maybe at back to school night or kindergarten registration or something like that. And you can also go to our website to sign up. And again, troops are forming all of the time.
That's great. And the website is girlscouts-ssc.org.
Yes.
So girlscouts-ssc.org. And you can join the Girl Scouts there.
Yes.
And another thing that happened recently with local Girl Scout Council is you were named as a recipient of the 2024 Empowering Woman. You were an honoree. The council was, and that's fantastic. What does that mean to you as an employee of the local council and the girls and teams you support?
It makes me immensely proud. Girl Scouts, when we saw that there was an application process for empowering women, I couldn't believe that we wouldn't be among them if we applied. I mean, our whole ethos is empowering women and the young women of the future. So we were named honorees, and that just fills my bucket. We really do. Each and every person in our staff is wholeheartedly, champions of the movement for Girl Scouts. They're champions of girls. We all put in, extra hours to make sure that they're supported and have, what they need to succeed in life. And so to be recognized for that on a statewide level is just absolutely delightful.
So huge. Well, let's come back to the cookies. Girl Scout cookies, the order forms are actually out now. So you will probably have some Girl Scouts maybe knocking on your door or your neighborhood, but they're just order forms. They can take the orders, and then the cookies won't be available till February 21st. Mm-hmm. And then booth sales, which are typically at markets and what have you, begin February 21st and then run through March 16th. So again, right now, my favorite time of year, Girl Scout cookie sales are going on. And then one cool thing that just started last year is that folks now can donate cookies to our heroes in the military through what you call Operation Cookie Program. And I think that is fantastic. So listeners can go to the website, girlscoutcookies.com, and they can find a local booth where cookies are being sold, and they can actually sign up to donate cookies for the military heroes there, and they will take care of everything. So again, if you're looking for a booth to do that, or locally, go to girlscoutcookies.com, find that booth, and then you're able to send cookies to our heroes in the military. Do you want to say anything more about that program?
Yeah, so as you said, we started it last year. My dad is a veteran, and so are many of the parents and family members of our girls, and we made the pivot to the military. We work with maybe a dozen other organizations, so like Blue Star Mothers, the Veterans Hospital, things like that. And so we deliver the cookies to those organizations. Most of the cookies stay, in our area, but we do have some current active deployed troops who have connections to Idaho, who live in Idaho usually, but they're deployed now. So Blue Star Mothers is one of the organizations that'll put those cookies on a plane and send it with their next care packages and things like that. So all of the cookies stay connected to Idaho.
What a great program. So again, folks, you can go to girlscoutcookies.com, find a booth that's going to be near you. And again, the booths don't open until February 21st. And you can find a local booth and support your local Girl Scouts. That's terrific. And if you have young daughters or young granddaughters, right now is a great time to join a troop, because troops are forming, and you can do that and join the Girl Scouts right now. And again, that's a different website. That's girlscouts-ssc.org if you'd like to join the Girl Scouts and get your daughters involved and get them learning entrepreneurship and women empowerment. So, and having to do with the cookies, one other thing is this is the last year for our Toast Yay cookie, right? Yes. For the Toast Yay cookie is going away. This is the last year you'll be able to get that. And that, you said, is kind of like a French toast tasting cookie that's wonderful with coffee and milk or anything, because it's a cookie.
True. Mm-hmm.
But if you're a fan of the Toast Yay cookie, this is the last year you're going to be able to get that. So make sure you stock up for sure. Absolutely. That's super important. Well, we are at the tip of the show, and the tip is the Idaho Podcast acronym. So what is your tip for our listeners today?
So my tip is just ask. Just ask. If there's something you want, just ask. If you would like to, be on a podcast, just ask. Remember, I asked.
That you did, you asked.
If there's anything you need at your job, with your partner, at home, at school, anything you need, just ask. The answer might be no, but it's definitely no if you don't ask. Ask for what you need, ask the question, get the information, but just ask.
I love that, because the worst thing they can say is no. Mm-hmm. So just ask at least could start a conversation. And I think that's super important.
It is. It's great. And, the funny thing about the no is that it doesn't mean no forever. I interpret it as no for right now, or no, I don't have enough information. So those are things you learn through the Girl Scout cookie program. No, I don't eat cookies. Really? Because you can donate to the Operation Cookie and, things like that. So no isn't always the end of the story.
So true. Just ask. That's a great tip. I appreciate that. Well, Kim Ross, thanks so much for being a part of the show today. Thank you for your work and involvement in the Girl Scout organization. What a terrific organization. What a great mission that they have to serve our girls and empower them and to teach them such strong entrepreneurial skills and life building skills really for lifetimes. And I think it's just wonderful. So thanks for your service there.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. And thank you for joining us today on the Idaho Podcast. Check us out on the idahopodcast.com for information on upcoming events and upcoming podcasts that we're going to be doing. We hope to see you again. And in the meantime, have a great week. Take care.